This podcast is created as part of Podcast Lab by India Film Project in association with Anchor by Spotify. So, hey everyone, welcome to another episode brought to you by the Data Talk community. And in this episode, we have invited one of our guests named Aastha Khanna. She's a data analyst right now in Bain and Company, and we are trying to get an idea about what kind of journey she have till now, and how she looks her future to be, and what kind of difficulties and capabilities she think right now to be needed for anyone who want to be a data analyst or so. So without wasting any time, I would like to invite our today's guest, Aastha Khanna. Hi, welcome Aastha.
Yeah, thank you, Akash.
Yeah, welcome.
So,
Yeah, please.
should I start
So
with my journey?
yeah, so I'll just give you some brief idea about
Mhm.
means the kind of discussions that we are going around. Let's talk about the kind of journey or kind of work environment right now we are in. So I'll be asking with everyone. So how are things going on right now with the COVID? What kind of work or scenario right now you are facing?
So in terms of work, I think it's been a couple of some time since COVID started. So most
Yep.
companies have kind of adapted to the situation, bringing in new policies, and also even the teams are shifting their mindset, and team managers and leaders as well. So
Right.
it is work situation currently is I would say quite decent, and team is mostly understanding, and we did go through a couple of the second wave, which was quite terrible, but
Mhm.
now things are better. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. So, recently I think we have faced now two waves, and
Mhm.
right now we are in the middle of Omicron. So,
Yeah.
means I have heard in some of situation in some of the companies, people have started to get to go on with the work from office scenario, but face a
Mhm.
bit of backlog because of the mall. I think the seasonality and all, they are getting a bit tough and all. Okay, so right now it's completely work from home. So how things are at your work here right now? So is there any kind of preference to
Uh,
join to office, or right now it's flexible, or it might be in the next year or so, something like that?
So we are not, compulsorily going to office. So for us, it
Okay.
is a bit flexible, and teams can decide which one day they want to go into office. So it could be, and that also can be decided that if you don't want to go for some reasons, you can just discuss that.
Okay.
But everyone does have to be in Delhi NCR.
Okay, great, great. So it's on our comfort zone that what we can
Yeah.
prepare, right? And I think it's a great as per what adaptability we read right now.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about yourself. Okay, uh, so I'll start with the kind of journey that we faced. Okay, during our graduation in the first year to the final year. In that period, our mind get evolved, because in the first year we have some sort of idea. Okay, we are initiating, but we get clearer as we go down the line. Okay, in the final year of our graduation. So how your journey look like? What kind of understanding you have? Okay, during the initial college year, and then finally how you think you get evolved, and what you're looking further, please.
Yeah. Thank you for the question. So initially, when I joined in the first year, my aim was to learn programming, because I did not choose computers in 12th. So I did have science, but I didn't have computers. And being a computer science graduate, we had a lot of coding to do, and all of the programming language subjects. So it was C, C++, Java, and different variations of that. So I started out with that aim, but towards the fourth year, I got to know about data science, about analytics, certain tools that are available in the market like Tableau, and I wanted to move into that. So
Okay.
yeah, and I also did a project in my college days, which was on an analytics project, which helped me understand how things are applied in a project scenario.
Okay, great. So this is the kind of initiations that you have gone through. Like it's your computer science. It's in BTech or BE.
It's BTech, yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. So so what happens once we are getting graduated or our final phase of our fourth year? Then during getting our first job, okay, some of or most of the people face a bit of rejection, okay, because the company and the profile don't make suit for each other, okay, in very different way, right? So let's get an idea about what kind of rejections you think that you have got at that moment, okay, and how things get evolved and how you make your profile update according to that, okay, because I know during that period I'll be getting around means 9 to 10 rejections, then finally I got placed and things move further. So what's your case, how you think you are into that?
Yeah, so in my scenario, we did have campus placements. So
Okay.
they were like initial rounds based on your. Some companies do have a criteria of minimum marks. Then you have your aptitude
Right.
test, and then some companies have behavioral test, and then you'll have some kind of GD, and then a final interview, and then you get
Right.
shortlisted. So went through this entire process for couple of companies, got a few rejections also. Some were in the test itself, and one companies which I later joined, that rejected me in the GD round. So it was not very easy to identify that what went
Right.
wrong in. Yeah, so it's not something on my CV or not something in my marks that got me rejected. So sometimes you don't know what to change, but
Right.
I did get placed in campus during campus placement. So that was the scenario for me.
Okay, great. I think that makes sense. Yeah, during GD or maybe in the initial screening phase, we really don't get any idea, and it's a simple rejection that these people are getting shortlisted. But yeah, sure. So it makes sense that further, once we get an idea that yeah, these are the things that company is looking for, and it's not in the profile. That's why we are moving to this direction. So that make a lot of sense, and that help us to get that skill, okay, and create that capability. Okay, so this is some initial things that I think we have gone through. Let's talk about your first job. Okay, so how your first job look like? Okay, what kind of initial things that you get into, okay, while working with the company, and how find out your way, okay, to move further from that, please.
Sure. That's like a great question. So initially, I started my professional journey with Capgemini, and I joined them as an analyst. And all analysts have to undergo a 3-month training. So that can be in any technology which they assign you to. They randomly assign you to a couple of technologies. Someone is getting Java, and someone could be getting business intelligence. Someone gets SAP. So a couple of examples of what technologies they used to train in back in 2017.
Right.
And I got into business intelligence, which was a training on Cognos, Teradata, and Informatica.
Okay.
So we had a 3 month training in that, and then we had we did have regular test in between, and also practical labs and all. And then in the end you have a certification exam which is called L1, and then you have to clear it in order to start working in your project. So I achieved rank 2 in this training, and that was really a great way to enter and start my
Great.
analytics journey.
Great. Okay.
Mm.
Okay. So this is your
Yeah,
initial 3 months where I
yeah,
think you have, and how further job look like, like the further
yeah.
improvements in work, right?
So then we have to, once we have completed our training, I waited for a project to be assigned to me. So it could be anywhere in India. Mostly their main hubs are Mumbai, Pune, and Bangalore. So these
Right.
4 locations, they used to have a lot of projects based out of that. So for my first project, I went to Pune from
Mm.
Bangalore, and that was for a quick service restaurant. And there it was I started learning from the seniors there. They used to tell me what kind of requirements they get, how do they handle the databases, and what are the ways to, what can I learn that will help me out. And
Right.
meanwhile, I also underwent a 2-day training on Tableau, which is a data visualization tool. And
Right.
then a couple of us had to take the Tableau certification exam as well, which was a desktop certified associate at that time. And I took that exam. We did have some training sessions from a couple of people who had already gone through that exam. So it was a senior person, and he helped clear some of our queries. So that was another exercise that I underwent. And then at the end of that session, I decided that I set up a time and took that exam, and I cleared it in the first go. So even with some minor hiccups in terms of Wi-Fi and connectivity. So
Okay.
it was my
But
first proctored exam like that, and I was extremely happy that I did not fail, because that would have been very discouraging, because I did
right.
spend a lot of time. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
makes sense.
so after that, I worked on the project in Pune for a couple of months only, I think 4 or 5 months. And there wasn't much activity going on there, and they were thinking of closing that. So
Okay.
I again had to get a new project. So there's a huge client which had some options to work either from Mumbai or Bangalore. So I chose to go
Right.
back to Bangalore, where I started with. There was a person leaving in the project, and even he wanted to ask me about how did you give the Tableau exam, and how
Right.
difficult was it, what kind of questions you get and all. So while he was leaving, I got to understand. He gave me the project KT, and I gave him the Tableau exam KT. So
Okay.
we had that kind of working relationship for a couple of months, and then once he had his last day, I officially was onboarded in the project and
Another project,
started
right?
yeah started to work with the client and managers and everything. Yeah.
Great. So yeah, I think that make a lot of sense. Okay. Now I just what I really feel is that the whole idea of me creating this podcast is that to have fresher at understanding that whether me as a data scientist or you as a data analyst, okay, what kind of basic certifications that we go through, and it really matters for companies to pick you, right?
Hmm.
So as you have said that you have gone through certain certifications, and even you have tried a bit hard, okay, and to get that grasp, and finally got that. So how you suggest, okay, somebody who is fresher or somebody who is in another field and want to transition into data science should have such certification which help them to get into data analyst job.
Okay.
Uh,
So
right.
yeah, so another thing around certifications is that does initially help you because you get your own confidence that you have skills on that technology, and these
Right.
exams are not just theoretical, they are practical as well. So they test your knowledge on the tool, hands-on on the tool, whether you can
Right.
create those reports, get the answers to these questions by building a visualization.
Right.
So it's a great way to get started, and also that is very true that within the company as well as outside the company, these certifications matter because companies know that they have their own standardized test which does test the individual on hands-on as well. So this person knows this level of questions. So
Right.
for people to get started in data science, data analysis, I would say that you should first have, and there are actually many good courses on Udemy, Coursera, ADX,
Right.
which people are either teaching you about the topic or they are specifically focused on the exam prep. So you can also look at those, and then Tableau itself has its own website where it's a Tableau learning site where you can go through various learning paths, and then you can also specifically look for the exam guide and go through that. That will give you a taste of the questions that might come in the exam, and find something that you want to work in, and then go through this exercise of finding out which exam to give, the initial one, and then look for courses, and you can basically give a practice test, mock test before the exam, and then you should be able to take the main exam.
Great. So any example of, or you can share one example like where the test can happen, okay, and that certification matter?
So in my case, I would say Tableau certification. It does matter, yeah, and even in the company also they were looking for people who had certifications to get them into Tableau projects, and also outside the company as well. People were asking me, "Do you have the Tableau certification?" Okay, I see you have the Tableau certification. Yeah.
Great. So, so I just want to know, like, is it the certification people can get on the Tableau website itself, or is it arranged by AWS or some kind of certified source like Coursera and Udemy?
So this certification is you can find all the details on the Tableau official website. They did take it earlier through the exam was proctored through Loyalist Exam Services, and now I think it's Pearson. So but it's an official exam from Tableau itself.
Got it. It makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. Okay, so yeah, I think that that kind of journey and the achievement makes sense. Okay, because the kind of journey you are into, I think it lies around the same, right? The certification lie around the same kind of journey that you are into. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, so these are the things I think that your past experience and the kind of things that you have gone in the previous. Now let's talk about how things are right now. Okay. So what kind of, in a generic way, like activity you are into, and what kind of capability you are right now handling, and how you look that you yourself that 3 years down the line or even 5 years down the line, I see myself with that kind of a future growth. Yeah.
Okay. So currently I am working with a visualization tool called Power BI. So it's Microsoft's offering, and it's a major competitor of Tableau, which is another visualization tool quite popular in the market. And I create reports for clients and help them get insights from the reports and translate their requirements into insights. look into the data, and that is mainly my role
Hmm.
currently. And I would say 3 years down the line, I see myself maybe moving to more data science specific field, or having an expertise in analytics, and managing a team of my own
Right.
that would,
Into
and,
analytics,
and
right?
yeah, and mentoring them and guiding them. Yes.
Sure, I think that make a lot of sense. You know, things are pretty good right now, and your journey or the kind of future that you're looking into, I think it make a relational sense in the upcoming movement as well. Okay. This is what we really want to discuss. Okay, and give a taste to some listeners who will be listening to the podcast and get an idea that yeah, in this way they can start, in this way they can understand things, and in this way they can look their future is to be. Okay, so I think I'll do some quick questions. Okay, and understand your views on it. You have worked on Tableau as well, and you worked on Power BI as well, right? So, what kind of differentiations you can say right now that how these two tools are, okay, and which you feel more comfortable, okay, to learn or even to use? Because I think difficulties will be there in both of them, but how you think of these two tools with your work experience and understanding about them?
So Tableau versus Power BI has been like a debate since I got
Right.
into this,
Yep.
and it is quite a contest. But I would say mainly the point of contention is with the cost. So when
Right.
companies are moving to Microsoft, they do get a cheaper cost. The cheaper offering is Power BI in terms of it's less inexpensive and
Hmm.
less expensive compared to Tableau. And with Tableau, you have the server separately, Tableau desktop, and it does, and also it's I think bit more analytics related, analytics heavy. And you would also
Okay.
find people that use Excel, they find Power BI very easy because it is obviously a Microsoft offering. So you have
Right.
certain features that are similar to Excel, and you can relate to how to create some formulas initially, and you can click on things and you have that sense that okay, it's a bit more relatable for someone who is not so there's nothing like that available for Tableau. You if someone has worked on some tool that is,
Right.
it's actually not available in the market, that you can say now I will be able to easily work on Tableau. So these 2 points are there, that when you are a new user and you want to learn some tool, which one should you prefer? If you are familiar with
Right.
Excel, I would suggest Power BI. And also companies are moving to Power BI for the cost factor. And
Right.
it's nothing like you cannot create this insight in Power BI or you cannot create this insight in Tableau, but Tableau does
Mm.
give you more creativity in terms of people create so many stunning custom visualizations. Like I do follow a lot of these people on LinkedIn and on their own pages as well, and
Right.
they have created wonderful visualizations. You would not even imagine the kind of charts, radial charts, God charts, all by creating calculations within Tableau. Mm,
Great. Right.
while in Power BI, Microsoft has its own app source, which is like a store where you can just select that I want this custom visual. So a lot of developers create their visuals and they then put it on the store, and then people can use it. So that gives you, it's much more easy. You don't have to code your own visual in Power BI, although that is also
Yeah. Right.
possible. So I
Right.
would say, yeah, they both have their own advantages. And
Mm.
in terms of which tool I prefer, I am
Mm.
comfortable with both of them. But my recent experience is more towards Power BI. So I would say it's
Great.
Power BI for, yeah, now.
Okay, sure. With that discussions, I've got two things. One is that, as you have said, people have created some great tools with the Tableau. Okay, or great
Mm.
visualization with the Tableau. Okay, but the same thing Power BI is doing. Okay, but it creating a community by letting people to have their creations chosen and
Mm.
used by other Tableau users, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Right. So that kind of,
Mm.
yeah, and that kind of flexibility is not with Tableau,
Yeah. True.
right? Okay. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And Microsoft is right now into each kind of organizational needs. Even if you talk
Mm.
about the Teams, which is competing with the Zoom, talk about the Power BI, which is competing with you know Tableau, and there are other lot more areas. But still, I think as per what kind of discussions we have, we'll got an idea that yeah, these tools have some capability, and it come up with certain norms and restrictions, and it will be more learning towards a Power BI, but have capability as well during the Tableau side. So I think this is all that we really want to discuss, okay, and understand your views on. Okay, so this is the last section, and just you can say from your end, okay, to the freshers or even somebody who want to transition, that what kind of advice, or even somebody who is working in the data analyst field as well with the Tableau and Power BI, what kind of suggestions or advice do you want to give to them?
So I would say to freshers and people looking to transition. So
Right.
for freshers, you should try to try a couple of courses online and see which
Mm.
tool you are interested in, and then you should also then focus on that tool. So if you do an initial course on Power BI or Tableau, and then you find that
Mm.
Tableau is more interesting to me, or I find more openings for Tableau, so I want to work in that. So then you can focus
Right.
your attention. While and some basic skills are also required, like SQL, Excel, Python also, it's much in demand these days. So you can go by demand or go by your own interest. Either way, it works. Whereas for people who are already working in some other field and they want to transition to data analysis, data science, I would say they should focus their attention on how they can convert their work into an analytics problem. I mean, what kind of problems they get in that and how to find solution to it. So if someone is working in banking industry and they find a lot of clients are coming with this request for finding out fraud transactions, then you should try to, that can be a starting point for a project that you can do on your own time. So that would give
Right.
you a great sense of real life project, and also you'll be able to apply your learnings as well.
Right.
And for other data analysts, I would say that in insight creation, insight generation is our main agenda, why we work with
Right.
clients and what main purpose. So focus on that, and if there is a visual which helps us get that insight in a more, I think rather than fancier visualizations, we should focus on what is more easier to understand for the user, and also
Right. Right.
look into the design perspective, that the user would not know how to use a certain customization that you have built, but they will be familiar with icons like home icon, close icon. So simple things like that, they really make a difference for a user who's reading a report.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I think this kind of a recent activity we have also gone through, that they have a visual that we have created right now. Okay. So client is facing a bit difficulty in the moment, you know. So that make a lot of sense with what you are saying, that it make it user friendly, that he can understand, rather than making it very fancy or very creative. Right, because at the end it's the user who will be using, and if he can understand everything, okay, and if his feedback, if a lot of feedback is coming in a particular way, and that can be done, okay, then it make a lot of sense. So yeah, I think that's all for the today's episode, and it's a lot of insight. that you have shared. And even I really don't know about Tableau and Power BI. I'll got to learn about these things a bit. Okay, so thanks for that as well. And yeah, thanks for joining with us. Bye.
Yeah, thank you, Akash, for inviting me in, and it was a pleasure talking to you.
Pleasure,
And I
yeah.
hope audience really, whoever is listening in, they do get some help in their career.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. Thanks. Okay.
Subscribe to the channel and don't forget to press the bell icon.